I absolutely loved this question from Free Coach Friday last week, so I decided to revisit it here in a little bit more detail, and maybe it will help you understand your own energy intake and then make some better decisions of whether or not you want to include or don't want to include things like fruit juice, cold pressed juice, or smoothies into your everyday diet. Now, I don't get asked this question a lot, but I find myself trying to explain this to my clients frequently because I want them to have the knowledge and understanding of how to include these things if they want to, so balancing meals either side, or whether or not they might be better off going with the whole food version. Quite often, they're going to be better off going with the whole food version. However, I'm going to get into that and explain that in this quick little video. So I'm going to use orange juice as an example because it's a really easy one. Imagine that you're sitting down to your morning breakfast, and whether that's toast, eggs, smoothie bowl, whatever it is, and then you have a nice cup of OJ with it because you want extra vitamin C and you've heard it's really good for you. What you probably don't realize is there's probably up to maybe 3 to 4 freshly squeezed oranges in that cup of OJ. And it's now down to a really concentrated form. All the pulp and fiber has been removed. So it goes down, and that just feels like a nice addition to your breakfast. However, if you were to sit down and have the whole food, like the whole 3 oranges, chances are you're probably not going to eat 3 oranges. You're probably going to have half of one or maybe one, be satisfied, and then move on. But when you have it in its concentrated form, in the juice form, you're actually consuming a lot more energy than perhaps maybe you need. Now, this is going to be dependent on the individual, because if you are somebody who trains at an elite level, say you're like a triathlete or something like that, or you are trying to increase your body mass, then maybe having an orange juice is going to be of a benefit to you. But for the majority of women I train, they come to decrease their body composition in terms of fat loss and also then increase their muscle mass. So I'm trying to teach them how to manage their energy intake so that they can do that. And quite often having juices or smoothies can be really where they get tripped up, especially if they're not making the smoothies from home. Now, I'm going to get into that as well. So another example is, say that you're out shopping and you decide to take the healthy option and because you're hungry, and you get a carrot, apple, beetroot, and celery juice. And that's great. You've got in a little bit of vitamins and minerals, and you've definitely made a nice whole food choice. However, about 90 minutes later, you're starting to feel hungry again. And you're like, oh, well, I haven't had lunch because I've just had this cold pressed juice. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to eat a full meal. Now, this can be okay if you know what type of meal should be balanced out with this, but quite often what will happen is somebody will order a full meal and then they've got to add in another 200, 300, or 400 calories depending on the juice that they've got. Now, if they had have sat down and eaten the whole food version of that, which would have been, say, a full celery, a couple of apples, a carrot, a beetroot, chances are they probably wouldn't have needed lunch. They might have just needed a little bit of protein to get them through, but they would have been full for quite some time. They also probably would have consumed a smaller amount of food because of the amount of space that type of food takes up. When we're eating the food in its whole form and it's got a lot of fiber and like it's a plant structure, it takes a while to chew, it takes a lot longer to digest than something that's in liquid form. Now, when something is in liquid form, the same thing can be said for soups. Quite often people don't register it as like an energy intake. And so they just write it off and they're like, actually, I didn't even eat that much today, without realizing, say they've gone to Boost Juice, for example. They might have gotten their banana buzz and then they would have had their lunch as well, without realizing that that banana buzz can actually be the equivalent to a whole meal. So there's about 419 calories to your 610 mil banana buzz. Now, this is okay if you know how to balance your energy intake either side of this, or you understand what your goals are. But if you are somebody that's trying to decrease your body composition in terms of fat loss, and you were having a banana buzz as a snack, and then you go home and you have a lunch and you've got dinner and you've got breakfast and another snack, you might unknowingly have consumed the same as, say, a KFC original burger, which is not something that ever would have crossed your mind. In fact, the KFC original burger actually has more protein in it, and you would have registered as a full meal being something that you sat down to eat completely. Now, with the banana buzz, because it's a liquid, it goes in really quickly, the body digests it quickly, and sometimes that means that we can be really hungry soon after. Now, again, I'm not saying that it's a bad choice. It is a whole food choice, but without understanding what's in it or how you're going to balance things either side of it, it can be really, really easy to go overboard in these types of foods. A lot of people are surprised to realize that something like that has over I think it's 55, even maybe 60 grams of sugar per serve, which is more than twice a can of Coke, right? And yes, some of that sugar is coming from the banana, but a lot of that sugar might actually be coming from their version of the yogurt. So it's worth getting into understanding and building your knowledge around these things so that you can make the best decisions for you. And that's what I like to teach the women on my program. It's not about restriction. It's not about cutting things out. It's about working out how to fit the banana bars in if you really, really enjoy that, or maybe realizing that you can probably live without it and go with the whole food version, depending on what you're trying to achieve. So it all comes down to knowledge. So it's not that fruit juice is bad. It just depends on what you're trying to achieve, what your energy intake is, either side of that or for the whole day, and then understanding what it is and how you actually want to fuel your body. So I hope you found this nice and interesting. And if you've got any more questions, please remember I do Free Coach Friday every single Friday, and that way I can answer any questions and help you understand how to manage your energy intake and hopefully make you feel good too. So let me know if you've got any more questions.